Hey everyone, this is Kevin T. Rodriguez, film critic of iCritic.net, and we're going to be talking about movies, which I don't really talk a lot about on this channel. You'd think I would, considering that's my profession, but I just don't. Anyway, just to let you all know, this is a live stream. So, uh, I might be responding to people who ask questions midway through the video. It might meander a little bit, but just to let you know, the TLDR version of the events are probably in the first 10 to 15 minutes of this. And this is definitely a this is going to be a very interesting video to make because last night I had my annual Oscar party at the house. And for some reason, I don't know why, hi Ben, I decided to live stream everyone's reaction to winning Best Picture. I didn't know what I was expecting to happen. I thought, well, maybe, we'll cheer for Black Panther or Roma. Like, who knows what's going to happen? Like, I did not expect Green Book to win, and we were definitely all caught a little off guard, and it showed in that live reaction. And so now it's time for me to talk about that win and by the way, I left my tripod in the other car, so got to hold it now. And as I might be a good time to talk about because as I started reading reactions and watching some YouTube videos, it kind of dawned on me that honestly, maybe we shouldn't be that surprised Green Book won. And let me tell you why. Throughout this Oscar race, people have been asking me, what are the front runners to win Best Picture at the Oscars this year? I felt there were three front runners to win. But I caution that in all three cases, they had major hurdles. Let's talk about one of the Best Picture prospects, BlacKkKlansman. I was thinking like Pro, excellent movie. That's always a best. Two, you can finally award Spike Lee his long overdue awards. That's another positive. Three, it says something about race relations, and now it's one of those things where, in my opinion, kind of like Green Book, how it shows how certain ways we dealt with race relations in the past. In some ways, we're still dealing with those problems. And I actually think both BlacKkKlansman and Green Book did a very good job. Now, BlacKkKlansman was a much better movie, but that's what it was. Now, here's the cons. The cons is that it's actually a pretty divisive movie. There's a lot more conservative voters in the Academy voting body than you would like to admit, but they exist, and BlacKkKlansman is very controversial. Heck, there's even Trump supporters in the Academy, and that ending really sticks it to a Trump supporter. So, that was just going to be a hard hurdle to overcome. And of course, the fact that it hadn't been winning any preferential, like any of the previous awards, like it didn't win the SAG award, it didn't win the Producers Guild, it didn't win the Directors Guild, so it wasn't really winning anything, which didn't suggest a lot of support for it. Your second front runner that I felt was Black Panther. And Black Panther, huge success, diverse cast. And here's the thing, after the whole Best Popular Film fiasco, what better way to ensure that never got brought up again than to give Best Picture to Black Panther? That would have made it great. And it's a good movie to boot. It would have been a worthy win. The big con against Black Panther, frankly, it's a superhero movie. And this Academy, just not even very long ago, I think it was like 4 years ago, gave Birdman Best Picture. And you have to keep that in mind. Now, some people said that Birdman won because it was about actors doing what actors do. It's not. The reason Birdman won instead of like a much better film like Boyhood, to be frank, is because Boyhood sent a message that Hollywood agreed with, in that our art is being stifled by Hollywood. Like, Hollywood's all about superheroes and franchises, and as a result, people who used to make great art now have to go to the stage to make that art, because Hollywood has just been franchised into oblivion. With the Academy enthusiastically embracing a message like that, well, that's fine. That's fine, Brevin Campbell. You don't have to like it. I picked as the best film of the year. With Hollywood giving a movie like that Best Picture, I found it very hard to think that, they would award Black Panther Best Picture, even if it would have solved several problems. Made the Oscars relevant again, killed the Best Popular Film award for good. But also it didn't have any directing, writing, or acting nominations, and that's a very, very tough hurdle to overcome. Now you have the third front runner. And in any other year, this would have ran away clean sweep, even with the Best Foreign Language Film category. And that is Roma, of course. An unquestioning masterpiece. Unquestionable. It's filmmaking perfection. It is the kind of theatrical experience that Hollywood loves. Like, it sucks you in, and as long as you're not like on your cell phone or anything, it immerses you in someone's life. So Roma was just perfect filmmaking. But Roma had one thing going against it. And unfortunately, this was a very, very big one. Roma was on Netflix. See, here's the thing. The Academy, I don't know if you watch the Academy Awards too often, but almost every year there are a bunch of statements and montages and claims that the theater is the best way to experience a movie. The theater experience is where it's at. And Roma spits in that message. It spits in the Academy's face on that message. Very ironically, because I actually feel that Roma is best experienced in the theaters. I think it actually suffers a little when you bring it at home. But Netflix put it out in theaters for 2 weeks. That wouldn't report box office numbers, sent it straight to streaming. And they won't budge on things like that. I don't know why they do this. I mean, even Amazon realized, hey, there's millions of dollars on the table. Amazon makes movies for their Amazon Prime service, primarily, pun intended. However, they also know enough like, hey, put it in theaters, have a regular theatrical run, it's extra money, and then afterwards we have the film for our streaming service. Netflix doesn't do that. They're like, no, we want day and date, and the Academy truly resists that thinking. So because of that, Roma probably was never going to win as much as we would have wanted it to. But then that comes to the question, why Green Book? Why Green Book? Why not? There were like five. Let's see here. There were like four other movies. I'm sorry. Hold on. Well, yeah, there were several other movies that you could have picked. So you had 3 out of 5. Why not? Why not The Favorite? That's a genius film. Well, The Favorite, despite the title, ironically, was never a favorite. It was polarizing. It was edgy. And it was, in some ways, kind of creepy for some people. So The Favorite was never on the preferential ballot, where like they are asked to rank their movies 1 through 9, what they like best. The 1 through 3 votes are crucial. You need a certain amount of number 1 votes to get through the first round, and then the 2 and 3 numbered votes become more important later on. The Favorite was not going to top many of those. And what about A Star Is Born? Well, I think it peaked early, and I think we fell in love with it, and it opened early enough that after a couple months we cooled on it a little bit, or at least the members did. So that's why that didn't happen. Vice, Vice, they could respect the filmmaking. No one was going to love that movie. No one was going to love that movie. Bohemian Rhapsody, guys. Bohemian Rhapsody should not have been nominated. Let's be perfectly frank on that one. There is a reason that is worst reviewed Best Picture nominee since 2011's Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. I have written about this. I have discussed it. I went on someone's podcast, which I enjoyed quite a bit. And if they ever want to have me back on to talk about this, then that would be great. Loved that podcast. But we debated this, And I told people Bohemian Rhapsody is as good as what you bring to it. If you like this scene, you are going to gravitate towards it because the performances of the Queen songs are excellent. But by every other metric, if you're talking about like the pacing, the honesty of the film, heck, even the way it portrays Freddie Mercury's life is so sanitized and Disneyfied. Like, I've even told people, like, Bohemian Rhapsody has more in common with Mamma Mia than Ray. Because Ray is a character study. Like, you actually get to know Ray, and outside of his music, even if you don't like Ray's music, you can watch a movie like Ray and totally understand, totally get involved in it, and you can be enthralled in it, and, you know, all that jazz. We're not talking about Movie Pass today, Roberto. Other than say that Movie Pass's sole Oscar nomination, the last Oscars for Border, they did not win. Vice won that. You know, but when you watch Bohemian Rhapsody, it's not interesting if you don't like Queen. It's very cliched. Heck, the funny thing is it's about as cliched as A Star Is Born, and yet A Star Is Born still did way more with that cliched. Like, it took the cliches and it elevated it above the material. Bohemian Rhapsody didn't elevate anything. And except for Rami Malek's performance, which probably did deserve to win. I would have given it to Christian Bale, but I'll give Rami this. So, but Bohemian Rhapsody just does not... It's going to be forgotten in a couple of years, guys. I mean, Green Book might be as well, but we're going to get to that in a moment. You know, so Bohemian Rhapsody just should not have even been there. And that's just... I'm sorry, that's kind of how I feel about that one. And you won't find too many people who disagree. I mean, some people will, but again, if you really like Queen, and yeah, that Live Aid concert, excellent scene. I've even had Queen fans tell me that when they watched that, they cried because it brought them back to the moment. Great. If you were not a big fan of Queen at that time period and are not aware of the significance of that concert, doesn't do a whole lot for you. So, there you go. And now that brings us to Green Book. And Green Book, when you really think about it, was probably always going to be the one that won. It would clearly get some number 1 votes. It would get some number 2 and number 3 votes. You read articles about how this movie winning sets discussions of racism back like 10 years. And someone asked what your best Oscar winning movie of all time is. Amadeus. And to Fizzgig, here's no, Rami Malek alone proved that the film deserves the Oscars is not an accurate statement. Sean Penn got nominated for I Am Sam for his great performance, but it was a lousy movie, and it didn't get anything else. One performance does not mean the whole thing is good. That's why they separate the categories. But anyway, so you have Green Book, and first of all, yes, it is comfort food. Older vote people who watch a movie like that will definitely feel comforted because it brings them back to the old days. And in a strange way, that old-fashioned is also, I think, spoke with some new people who... Because here's the thing. I've been noticing people are getting quite fed up with the anger. I think there are more people out there who want to talk out issues, who want to, make friends with people. And the best way to mend differences is to talk and to hang out. And so a movie where 2 guys take a road trip and they become friends, slowly but surely become friends, is something that is definitely going to speak to people. I mean, here's the thing. Who presented that, not the award, but who helped introduce Green Book? One of the guys who marched with Martin Luther King Jr. on the Selma Bridge. And you know who else really loved that movie? John Singleton, the Academy Award nominated director of Boys in the Hood, felt that Green Book had a lot to say about race relations today. Those things don't come out of a bubble. Clearly, there was a lot of love for it. And it's not an angry film. It's easy to like. That's one of the problems with BlacKkKlansman. There were, at times, it felt like an angry movie. Now, justifiably, it was angry. But, you have one movie that makes you feel like, kind of like garbage at the end to some level. And then you have one movie that makes you feel good at the end. And here's the other thing about the preferential ballot. Some people said that, oh, the old white Academy members, they pushed it through. Guys, the preferential ballot was designed in a way where a movie has to have broad support to even win. So, no, it wasn't this one faction of the Academy that voted yes on it and everyone else got ignored. No. There were people across the board that really liked this movie. And to also be focusing on Green Book like this sets the Academy back, guys, the Academy just gave 2 African-American acting awards and an Egyptian-born actor Best Actor. It gave 2 African-American women Oscars in categories that they had never previously won before. It gave Asians Oscars in documentary and animated short. Heck, there was even an African-American winner with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which I want to point out, focused on an African-American / Latino Spider-Man. The Academy, I think if anything, this year's Academy should be celebrated for the true diversity it showed for the first time in years. And yeah, so some people didn't like Green Book. But as you've even seen, and I've been talking, I didn't like Bohemian Rhapsody. Some people did. This is where it gets very subjective. You have to find a consensus, and for better or worse, people landed on Green Book as the consensus. That was the best film of the year. Now, I don't truly believe that's the case. For the record, and I probably should have mentioned this at the beginning, now that I think about it, I like Green Book quite a bit. I put it on my top 10 best films of the year list. Number 10. So not super high, but it still made the list. For the record, I put Roma number 1. I put BlacKkKlansman at number 3. I put A Star Is Born at number 4. I put The Favorite at number 7. Black Panther did not make the list. It didn't even make the honorable mentions. But it was still a good movie. So anyway, it's all subjective. It really is. So there you go. We are changing and all the awards. So I think Bohemian Rhapsody deserved to win just like Black Panther won. Well, look, Bohemian Rhapsody won where it deserved to win. Sound editing and actor. I'm not okay with it winning editing, but whatever. I would have given that to BlacKkKlansman or Green Book, to be frank. But So the Academy, I think, overall did a great job. Nancy Harris said, and what's your number 1 overall, not nominated? Well, I did pick Roma as the best film of the year. So that's kind of, technically, my number 2 pick was Won't You Be My Neighbor, which wasn't nominated for anything, not even documentary. So there you go. But boy, I miss my tripod. So here's the thing. Is Green Book the worst movie to win Best Picture? No. I can think of way worse movies that won Best Picture. Cimarron. Let's see. I'm kind of looking at my... Cimarron, Cavalcade, The Greatest Show on Earth. I don't like Gladiator, to be perfectly honest. Out of Africa, that's a good movie, but The Color Purple was way, way better. Sometimes they get it right, sometimes they get it wrong. I think Green Book is somewhere in the middle, to be perfectly honest. So, anyway, that's my best explanation for why Green Book won Best Picture. Because it was inoffensive enough to get broad support. And the tricky thing is when you have 3 movies, in the case of Black Panther, BlacKkKlansman, and Roma, that if you give one of these movies Best Picture, I liked Shakespeare in Love. Not as much as Saving Private Ryan, but I did like Shakespeare in Love. If you give one of these movies Best Picture and that's going to change the way the awards work, it's really hard to get a consensus from everyone how the awards should change. So it was Green Book. They gave it to a movie that they liked quite a bit, and basically they can do it without saying, okay, we're embracing superhero movies. Okay, we're embracing streaming. Okay, we are embracing films that actually divide audiences rather than, well, in their eyes, rather than pull people together. But I do know some people who were taken quite aback by BlacKkKlansman. Whether that's justified or not, I actually think BlacKkKlansman was a call for peace just as much as Green Book was a call for peace. They just did it in a very different way. I will say one more thing about BlacKkKlansman losing to Green Book, though. Even though I don't agree with Spike Lee's response, I do feel a little bad for the guy that every time he's up for major awards, someone's always driving a car and he's losing. That is a little bit of irony right there. But anyway, so that's where we are going to leave this live stream, because it's kind of supposed to be like a somewhat standalone video for people afterwards. But thank you to everyone who watched, who commented, and see, Chris says La La Land was awful. I picked La La Land as the best film of the year. I'm not going to explain why. I've got my reviews up. I've got my list. Again, it's subjective, but Moonlight was number 3, so I still like Moonlight. But anyway, I would love to know what you thought. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. I'm going to get back to talk. I mean, for those wondering about like the MoviePass videos, look up. I'll make a couple more. My computer monitor got busted, so that's why videos have been slow. But I will catch up on some of the news, and then I don't know if there's going to be a lot of news on that. And then I got to finish the video about the movie theaters and all that jazz. But I'm thinking, like I said, I'm working on some behind-the-scenes stuff for this channel, but just wanted to talk about the Oscars real quick.